Welcome to the 8th episode of the Rock of the Buzzer podcast for the second season. Once again, I'm your host, Brock Kowalski. This one will be a fairly short show because we got two huge things to talk about. The Buffalo Bills squeaking a victory out over the Miami Dolphins yesterday, and today's Cavalier win over the New Orleans Pelicans. But before I get started, please like the video, share the video, and subscribe, and also follow me on all of my social media channels that you can find on a Linktree link below. And now let's get in right to the meat of the episode. Bills squeak out with a victory over Miami. On Sunday afternoon, the Buffalo Bills had one goal, and despite the many hurdles they had to overcome to advance to the divisional round of the NFL playoffs, the Bills pulled it out by the skin of their teeth with a 34-31 win over the Miami Dolphins. First, the numbers for the victorious Buffalo Bills. Josh Allen went 23 for 39, throwing for 352 yards with 3 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. More on that here in just a few short minutes. Gabe Davis had 6 receptions for 113 yards and a touchdown. And for the division rival Miami Dolphins, Skylar Thompson went 19 for 45, threw for just 220 yards, 1 touchdown, and 2 interceptions. And the biggest offensive weapon that Miami has is Tyreek Hill. He had 7 receptions for just 69 yards. And now let's get into my reaction. This was the worst offensive showing of the season by the Bills thus far. The defense did their job, making key plays when needed, continuously keeping the Bills in the game, like the Kaiir Elam pass breakup late in the fourth that he, had leg cramps on, so no major injury concern there, thank God, and also his big pick in the second half as well. So, when anyone says that, quote, I've seen a lot of this and have heard a lot of this since yesterday, quote, the defense played like shit, end quote, I say you're very much in the wrong. The only reason why Miami made this a game after being outscored 17-0 in the first quarter was the turnovers committed by Josh Allen. As a matter of fact, over half of Miami's points on Sunday were converted thanks to turnovers, whether it was the fumble by Devin Singletary and or the 2 interceptions thrown by Josh Allen. If the Bills want to beat the Bengals next Sunday, which is going to be a very, very tough thing to do, the Bills cannot turn the damn ball over. As we know, when the Bills don't turn the ball over, and we've seen this in numerous games this season, they blow teams out. And if you're a Bills fan and if you've been following along the entire season, you know that is a true statement that I just made. Also, I want to mention the offensive play calling down the stretch. It was just awful. And it simply didn't make any sense. I don't know whether if it was Dorsey from above telling Allen to throw those unnecessary bombs or Josh calling audibles. But that needs to stop now. Because when you have a lead, what do? You run the damn ball. You try to clock manage. You try to waste time. And the Bills did not do that on Sunday. And it almost cost them a chance at the next round of the NFL playoffs. The good news, even though we're not happy necessarily with the result, but the good news is we're moving on to take on the Cincinnati Bengals at our place next Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern on CBS. So, again, the Bills just cannot make mental mistakes, such as turning the ball over, fumbling the football, resulting in turnovers, and so on and so forth. Because if the Bills do that next week, we're going to lose, and we're going to lose probably our best chance ever as an organization to win a Super Bowl. And I don't think we all don't want to live through that. And I also don't think you're going to see an offensive game that horrible from the Bills the rest of the postseason. But again, we've got a lot to work on this upcoming week, and I guarantee you these guys are motivated to work on that work, and they will be much better come next Sunday against the Cincinnati Bengals. And now on to the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Cavs rally to win over Pelicans. The Cavs came into their MLK Day matchup, which was this afternoon, against the New Orleans Pelicans following an inconsistent 2-3 road trip out west, with one goal, and that goal was to regain momentum. Despite a very mistake-filled first half and dealing with a Donovan Mitchell injury early in the second half, more on that here in just a second, the Cavs were able to get the win behind strong games from Darius Garland, Jared Allen, and Evan Mobley. With that, they were able to pull away in the fourth, outscoring the New Orleans Pelicans 35-22, leading to a strong 113-103 victory. For the victorious Cleveland Cavaliers, their stat line looked very much like this. Darius Garland led the way with 30 points and 11 assists. Jared Allen, who was tremendous, more on him in just a second, 24 points and 11 rebounds. Evan Mobley, who was also tremendous, more on him in just a second. He had 19 points and 8 rebounds. Isaac Okoro was solid yet again. Starting at that 3 spot, he had 11 points and 3 rebounds. And Donovan Mitchell, before he left early in the third quarter, he had 11 points. And for the New Orleans Pelicans, who were down Zion Williamson, Brandon Ingram, and Herb Jones, that is 3 starters for the New Orleans Pelicans, their stat line looked like this. CJ McCollum had 25 points and 4 assists. Jonas Valanciunas had 22 points and 13 rebounds. Trey Murphy had a strong game. He had 17 points and 2 rebounds. Najee Marshall as well had a very strong outing as well. He had 14 points and 3 assists. And Jose Alvarado off the Pelican bench had 10 points and 5 assists. Their next game is Wednesday against Ja Morant and the Memphis Grizzlies in Memphis at 8 p.m. Eastern on Bally Sports Ohio and NBA League Pass. The keys to victory for the Cleveland Cavaliers. Garland coming up clutch. Garland didn't look in rhythm, much like the entire Cavs roster pretty much that played this afternoon, telling just 5 points, but Garland knew, especially without Donovan Mitchell, who suffered a groin strain in the third. Again, more on him in just a minute. He knew he had to carry the load offensively, and he did just that, scoring 25 of his 30 points in the second half. The second key was simple. Bigs dominate. Jared Allen and Evan Mobley both played tremendously in this one, combining for 43 points and 20 rebounds. The duo also made a slew of critical defensive stops down the stretch to help the Cavs secure the win. And the third key was a simple one: never giving up. The Cavs never gave up once again, having their 11th double-digit comeback of the season. Yes, their 11th double-digit comeback of the season, which is tied for the most in the NBA with the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Indiana Pacers. And what's the common thread? They're all young teams. Yes, even with Donovan Mitchell, the Cavs are still young people, and they're learning how to win together, and I think you saw a perfect example of that this afternoon. And finally, an update on Donovan Mitchell. The latest news we've heard on Donovan Mitchell, who again suffered a groin strain in the third quarter, was from head coach J.B. Bickerstaff, who said, and I quote, "I have no idea how severe it is," end quote. But good news here to report as well. Mitchell did come back to the Cavs bench, but did not play in the fourth. And in my opinion, I think that was a large part due to the fact that Isaac Okoro and Lamar Stevens closed out the game this evening for the Cavs, and they played tremendously down the stretch as well. So Donovan Mitchell wasn't really needed down the stretch, so I think the Cavs just played it smart and held their cards close to the vest. But if Donovan Mitchell was needed, I bet you J.B. Bickerstaff would have came down to him and asked him, "Hey, are you ready to go?" And Donovan probably would have said yes. So, again, I don't think this is a major concern. I wouldn't be surprised if he sits out on Wednesday against the Grizzlies, but I don't think this is a long-term thing, because if he did not come back out to the bench or came out to the bench in street clothes, I'd be a lot more concerned as we move forward here with the Cavs' toughest week of the season. Again, on Wednesday, the Cavs are in Memphis to take on Ja Morant and the Memphis Grizzlies at 8 p.m. Eastern on Bally Sports Ohio. Then follow that up with the most the toughest back-to-back in the NBA that I've seen so far this season, with the Warriors coming into Cleveland on Friday night and the Milwaukee Bucks coming into Cleveland on Saturday. So this is by far the toughest week for the Cleveland Cavaliers of their season. And that'll do it for this episode of the Brock and the Buzzer podcast. Again, I said it was going to be a short episode, and here you go. It's the end. Again, please like the video, share the video, and subscribe and follow me on all my social medias that you can find in the link tree link below. And I'll see you all very, very soon.